Now it's time for the donkey of the day. That's pretty funny.
Charlamagne the devil?
Possibly. The Breakfast Club.
Yes, donkey of the day for Thursday, February 10th goes to 80-year-old Mary Margaret Cooper. She's a nun, okay? What is a nun? Well, I did some research this morning, and by research I mean Google. And a nun is a woman who vows to dedicate her life to religious service. Nuns take vows that vary by faith and order, but often involve dedicating themselves to a life of poverty and chastity. That means no money, no sex, right? Ironically, that's most prostitutes' motto too, okay? Some nuns devote themselves to prayer, while others, known as religious sisters, serve their community by helping the poor, teaching in schools, or providing health care. Nuns are not allowed to marry, use social media or smartphones. They can't own property or engage in sexual relationships. Basically, nuns are like that boring-ass piece of grilled chicken you eat for dinner 2 times a day when you eat and clean when you're on your workout vibes, okay? I'm not knocking them at all. It takes extreme discipline to be a nun, but imagine doing all that. And when it's all said and done, you and Kodak Black in heaven together, okay? And ain't no VIP. Once you pass those pearly gates, y'all are all in the same section. Imagine. But then again, nuns probably have so much peace. No social media, no smartphone. Must be amazing for your mental and emotional health. And their pH balance has never been thrown off by a dirty penis. So it's a million benefits, I'm sure, to being nun. But all nuns are not created equal, okay? And Mary Margaret Cooper proves that. In fact, I would say that most nuns are fronting and doing the best they can, just like the rest of us, okay? There's no such thing as perfect people. We all fall short. And I don't knock anyone for the attempt. Just don't be a hypocrite and judge the rest of us publicly when you know you're doing the same sins, if not worse, privately. Now, if you remember, I gave Mary Margaret Cooper Donkey of the Day last summer for doing this. Let's go to KCAL CBS 9 for the report, please.
A retired nun tonight is now facing fraud and money laundering charges in connection with an embezzlement scheme. 79-year-old Mary Cooper was the principal of St. James Catholic School in Torrance for almost 3 decades. Prosecutors say she stole more than $835,000 in school funds, including tuition and charitable donations. Cooper is accused of using that money to pay credit card bills and lavish gambling trips to Las Vegas. She has agreed to plead guilty to wire fraud and money laundering charges. She now faces up to 40 years in federal prison.
830 plus grand to fund her gambling habit. All right? Thou shalt not steal is one of the 10 commandments. That's an alleged big one, guys. Okay, Moses wrote that on a stone tablet. All right, I know tweets are the new stone tablets, but back in the day, it took a lot of work to get a chisel and write that in stone. Thou shalt not steal. That's 17 characters. All right, let that be a lesson to all you long tweeters and folks who like to post long captions. Less is more. All right, now the Bible doesn't specifically say you shouldn't gamble, but it does say money is the root of all evil. So gambling falls under that, even though the whole Bible is technically a gamble because we break every rule the Bible tells us not to break and hope that the whole forgiveness, repentance thing works out for us. That is a gamble. Okay, I'm saying all that to say, Mary the nun was out here sinning like the rest of us, okay? Well, she's been sentenced for those sins. Can we go to Local 12 WKRC for the report, please?
This was Sister Mary Margaret Cooper as she headed into the federal court building in downtown LA last July to plead guilty to wire fraud and money laundering. Today, she went back to court to be sentenced for her crimes. The 80-year-old was the longtime principal at St. James Catholic School in Torrance. During her final decade at the school, the feds say Cooper embezzled more than $835,000. They say she used that money to support her gambling habit, take trips to Las Vegas, Lake Tahoe, and Temecula, as well as to pay personal expenses. The feds say Cooper regularly falsified school financial records to hide her crimes. Then, in an attempt to cover up what she'd done, they say she ordered school employees to alter records and destroy documents during an audit that exposed the theft.
I think all the time all these PPP scammers getting, all right, for scamming. Okay, 1 year in prison for an 80-year-old woman. This is Mary. Okay, I'm holding up a picture of Mary right now. This is Mary. Now, the max was 40 years, all right? She ended up getting 1 year. Was it sympathy because she's grandma? Was it white privilege? Or was it God? Was it prayer? Was it all the other nuns coming together to pray for Mary? I don't want to hear nothing about those sins, those broken laws, that violation of vows, commandments, whatever you want to call them. Mary, you made a choice. And you knew the choice you was making, okay? You knew the choice you was making was against all of those things you stood for when you did it, and you did it for a decade, a whole decade. Mary, you're 80. Now, I know we all mature at different times, but by 70, you should have it all figured out. I'm sure you make bad decisions when you're 70 because, hey, you never been 70 before. But I think by 70, we should all be past the life of crime, unless, of course, we are just criminals, okay? Career criminals. But I'm not here to judge. That's God's job. All I want to say is don't pretend to be something you're not. Okay, the real you will always catch up. You can't lead two lives. And we as people have to be careful, okay? Because not everything is what it seems to be, all right? And not all people are, what they seem to be. Some people pretend to be the beach, but they're actually quicksand. That is what Mary was. Please give Mary Margaret Krupler the biggest hee-haw. 1 year, $835,000.
So yeah, she got a year and a day.
Stealing from the church, stealing from that school for a decade. A decade of scamming.
And they want her to give the money back, right? Pay the money back, restitution?
Oh, you ain't getting the money back. She said, you got to get that back in blood. I'm 80 years old, and I got to do a year and a day. I'll be 81 when I come home, maybe 82, depending on when her birthday land. Please.
So let me ask you a question. I'm sure there's somebody out there right now that did a PPP scam and is scared.
Big time they got, too.
Right? And they got a lot more time than Mary did. Mm-hmm. Is that fair?
Of course it's not fair. What do you mean?
It's not right.
Of course it's not fair. We know that. But it might have been God.
You're right.
Might have been prayer. I doubt it.
I doubt it too.
I doubt it. God be ignoring y'all. Y'all be praying. Some things y'all pray to God for, he sends to his spam folder. Or she sends to her spam folder. Telling y'all that right now.
All right.
Isn't Baby Blue from Pretty Ricky going to jail right now?
I think he only got a year.
Surrendered himself for this?
I think he only got a year. So maybe he prayed.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Or maybe somebody praying for him too.
All right.
They said he got more than $24 million from that. So
Lord have mercy.
Oh, he's doing better than Mary.
He definitely did better than Mary. Donkey of the Day is brought to you by the law office of Michael S. Lamonsoff. Don't be a donkey. Dial pound 250 on your cell and say the bull if you've been hurt in a construction accident. That's pound 250 from your cell and say the bull.